Business at the Speed of Thought by Bill Gates. Picture yourself in a boardroom in Germany facing some of the country's most powerful bankers. They're all decades older than you. They've watched empires rise and fall, and honestly, they look tired and completely unimpressed. Your team just spent hours walking them through technical presentations, and now every eye is on you. Arms crossed, they have one burning question: what is your vision for the future? This actually happened to a young Bill Gates. No notes, no prepared speech. Just him, standing there, needing to explain on the spot how the digital revolution was about to flip their entire world upside down. What would you have done? This moment captures the essence of the book we're diving into today, Business at the Speed of Thought. Published right at the peak of the dot-com boom, this isn't just some dusty business relic. It's a blueprint for the future, written by the guy who was literally building it. Back then, these ideas sounded like pure science fiction. Today, they're just Tuesday. The book became an instant bestseller, and not just for corner office executives. It spoke to anyone who felt the ground shifting beneath their feet. Gates was handing us a map for a world being rewired in real time by the internet. Now you might be thinking, this book is over 20 years old, why should I care? Fair question. But here's what I promise. By the end of our time together, you'll see why these principles matter more now than ever. You'll understand the one fundamental concept that separates winning companies from dying ones. And you'll walk away with a new framework for thinking about how you gather, manage, and use information in your own life. Because as Gates believed to his core, how you handle information will ultimately decide whether you win or lose. Let's jump in. So what was Gates's big idea? What did he tell those skeptical German bankers? He didn't launch into a lecture about microchips or programming languages. He talked about something much more relatable, much more human. He talked about your nervous system. Think about it. When you touch something hot, you don't pause to think it over. You don't file a report and send it to your brain for committee approval. The signal rockets from your fingers to your brain, and your hand jerks back in a split second. It's automatic. Lightning fast. Your body's information network is what keeps you alive. It lets you think, act, and react. Gates looked at the business world and saw companies operating like they had no nervous system at all. They were clumsy giants. A customer would complain to a store employee, but that feedback would die on a paper form, gather dust on someone's desk for weeks, and maybe, just maybe, crawl its way to the people who could actually fix it months later. Slow, inefficient, completely disconnected. Gates's vision, the one he sketched out for those bankers, was for every organization to build what he called a digital nervous system, an electronic network that lets information flow through a company as naturally and quickly as thought flows through your mind. A system where bad news travels just as fast as good news, so you can react to problems instantly. A system where everyone, from the CEO to the person on the factory floor, has the data they need at their fingertips to make smarter decisions. This might sound obvious to you now. You've grown up with instant messaging and live updates. But back then? Revolutionary. And to understand why it's so powerful, we need to rewind even further, to a time before computers, to see how this principle worked for one of the greatest business leaders of the 20th century. Alfred P. Sloan Jr., who ran General Motors from the 1920s to the 50s, was obsessed with one thing: facts. He knew he couldn't run a massive, complex organization like GM on gut feelings or hunches. He needed real data. But this was decades before computers. So what did he do? He built his own office inside a private railroad car and traveled across America, visiting 5 to 10 car dealers every single day. He talked to them. He listened to their complaints. He gathered information firsthand. He was building a human nervous system for his company. He discovered that the car business was shifting. People didn't just want to buy cars anymore, they wanted to trade in their old ones. This insight was gold. But Sloan's real genius was creating a system to make this information flow permanent. He created standardized accounting for every single GM dealer and factory. For the first time, everyone was using the same numbers, speaking the same language. A dealer in California could compare his performance to the average dealer in New York. This information infrastructure, this early paper-based nervous system, allowed GM to respond to the market so quickly that competitors couldn't keep up for decades. Sloan proved the timeless principle: how you gather, manage, and use information determines whether you win or lose. Now let's fast forward. The world got faster, more competitive, and a new technology emerged that changed everything: the Internet. The Internet, as Gates explains, is the ultimate tool for building a digital nervous system. It's the railroad and the telephone rolled into one, connecting not just your employees, but your partners, suppliers, and most importantly, your customers. Suddenly, the old way of doing business got flipped on its head. Before the Internet, if you wanted to buy something, you had to go through layers of middlemen, distributors, wholesalers, retailers. Each one added cost and slowed things down. The Internet bulldozed right through all of that. Now a customer could go straight to the source. This created a powerful new rule: the middleman must add value or the middleman will disappear. Think about travel agents. If all they did was book a simple plane ticket, something you could now do yourself online in 5 minutes, their job became obsolete. But a travel agent who could design a once-in-a-lifetime personalized tour through Italian vineyards, that person was adding real value and would thrive. This shift forced every company to ask a brutal question: what value are we actually providing? Look at Dell Computers. They were one of the first to really get this. Their entire business model was built on selling directly to customers, and the Internet was like rocket fuel for that strategy. They created a website where you could not only buy a computer, but configure it exactly how you wanted. Their online sales exploded, from $1 million a week to $1 million a day, and it just kept climbing. But it wasn't just about selling. It was about listening. Dell used their website to create a direct line to customers. They received suggestions online and made hundreds of site improvements based on that feedback. They even created over 5,000 unique, personalized web pages for their biggest corporate clients, making it incredibly easy to manage purchases. Dell learned something profound, something that Merrill Lynch, the giant financial firm, also discovered: an educated customer is a better customer. Merrill Lynch was initially terrified by low-cost online stock trading. Their whole business was built on expert financial consultants giving advice. But they realized their real value wasn't just providing stock prices. That information was now free everywhere. Their value was in providing knowledge and personalized financial planning. So they invested nearly $1 billion building a new digital system. This system gave their consultants all the information they needed in one place, freeing them from grunt work so they could spend more time actually advising clients. Then they did something bold. They gave customers a version of this system too. By sharing information, they didn't weaken relationships. They strengthened them. Customers came to meetings better informed, asked smarter questions, and the real magic could happen. These companies understood that the Internet wasn't just a new place to sell stuff. It was a place to build relationships, to listen, and to serve. It was the central nervous system connecting them directly to their customers' minds. Of course, having a powerful connection to the outside world is useless if your internal systems are a mess. This brings us to one of the book's most critical lessons, one Microsoft itself learned the hard way. In 1995, Microsoft was on top of the world. They'd just launched Windows 95 in a massive global event. The press called them the center of the computer universe. But within months, the story completely flipped. A new word exploded into public consciousness: Internet. And the narrative became that Microsoft had completely missed it. The media predicted that smaller, faster companies would put Microsoft out of business. This was catastrophically bad news. So how did the company turn itself around so fast? The answer, Gates says, didn't come from him or other top executives. It came from a handful of passionate employees deep within the company who saw the tidal wave coming. And how did their voices get heard? Through Microsoft's own digital nervous system, email. From day one, every single person at Microsoft had a PC and used email constantly. It was baked into the culture. This flat, open communication channel allowed these employees to share their concerns, sound the alarm, and get everyone from their peers to senior leaders paying attention. Email chains turned into discussions. Discussions led to meetings, and those meetings led to a complete strategic pivot. Gates created a sense of crisis, not to scare people, but to energize them into action. Within a year, Microsoft had Internet-enabled all its major products and was once again a major player in the digital world. This story highlights a core principle. In a healthy digital nervous system, bad news must travel fast. A good leader doesn't want to be protected from problems. They want to be the first to know so they can start working on solutions. You have to create a culture where people feel safe bringing you bad news. If you shoot the messenger, people stop telling you the truth, and that, Gates warns, is the beginning of the end. This extends to your customers too. Your most unhappy customers, he argues, are your greatest opportunity. They'll tell you, for free, exactly what's wrong with your product and what you need to fix. Companies should spend more time studying customer complaints than their own financial statements. By using technology to gather this feedback and funnel it directly to people who can make changes, you turn your biggest failures into your greatest improvements. To do any of this, though, you have to do something that sounds simple but is incredibly hard for many companies. You have to know your numbers. Jiffy Lube, the car service chain, was losing money until its new parent company installed a system that sent sales data from all 1,600 stores to headquarters every single night. By 5 a.m, every store manager had a report showing exactly how they were doing. They could spot trends, identify problems, and take action immediately. This daily flow of information was the engine behind their incredible turnaround. The key, Gates emphasizes, is that data must be digital from the very beginning. A number on paper is dead. It's a final statement. You can't drill down into it, analyze it from different angles, or easily send it to a colleague. But a number in digital form is alive. It's the starting point for thought and action. When you have this flow of digital data, something wonderful happens. You can move people away from routine, mind-numbing tasks and into real thinking work. At British retailer Marks & Spencer, instead of having hundreds of buyers comb through thick paper reports every day, they let intelligent software do the heavy lifting. The system automatically flags only items selling much better or worse than expected. This frees buyers to use their creativity and expertise to solve real problems and spot new opportunities. This is the promise of automation, not replacing humans but elevating them. When you use technology to handle routine work, you free people to provide the human touch where it really matters. Solving complex customer problems, designing innovative products, or creating clever marketing campaigns. Work becomes more interesting, more challenging, and more valuable. As these digital nervous systems become more powerful, they start changing not just individual businesses, but the very fabric of society. Gates called this the web lifestyle. He predicted a future where we'd naturally turn to the web to pay bills, manage finances, learn, be entertained, and communicate with friends, family, and even doctors. A world where you'd carry small, connected devices, keeping you in touch, and allowing you to conduct business from anywhere. That's the world you live in right now. He saw how this lifestyle would transform entire sectors. In healthcare, he imagined a world where medical records travel with you electronically, eliminating endless paperwork and dangerous communication failures plaguing the system. A world where doctors spend less time on administration and more time with patients. In government, he envisioned a single online face for citizens, where you could get a license, pay taxes, or find information without navigating a confusing maze of agencies. He saw how digital systems could drastically cut waste and make government services more responsive. And in education, he foresaw a revolution. PCs, he argued, could be the most powerful tools ever given to teachers and students. They could let students explore subjects in new interactive ways, learn at their own pace, and access information far beyond classroom walls. He championed using technology not as a separate subject, but as a tool woven into every aspect of learning. Ultimately, business at the speed of thought delivers a deeply humanistic message. It's not really about technology, it's about people. It's about a new way of thinking, a new way of organizing ourselves to be faster, smarter, and more responsive. The core argument is a debate between two management philosophies. The old way saw workers as cogs in a machine needing control from the center. The new way, enabled by digital processes, sees workers as creative, intelligent individuals who should be empowered with information and trusted to act. Gates tells a fantastic story about the first astronauts. The original spaceship design had no manual flight controls. Scientists at Mission Control believed their automated system could fly the ship perfectly. The pilots, who'd seen perfect systems fail repeatedly, fought back. They insisted on having power to take control if things went wrong. And on several historic flights, it was their human skill, their ability to react to the unexpected, that brought them home safely when automation failed. The lesson is clear. You can't predict everything from the center. The real world is messy and unpredictable. People on the front lines, pilots, salespeople, engineers, customer service reps, are the ones who see what's really happening. A digital nervous system isn't about centralizing control. It's about distributing intelligence. It's about giving every person the tools and information they need to think, create, and solve problems. Knowledge, Gates concludes, is the ultimate power tool. Looking at this book from where we stand today, it's striking how much of Gates's vision has become our reality. The web lifestyle isn't a future prediction anymore. It's just called life. The idea of a business without email or a website is almost unthinkable. He wasn't just predicting the future, he was providing the operating manual for it. But what I find most powerful, what I really want you to take away, isn't the technological predictions. It's the underlying philosophy about information, speed, and people. The first great lesson: speed is a strategy. In the 21st century, it's not the big eating the small. It's the fast eating the slow. The ability to learn about a market shift, a customer problem, or a competitive threat and react in hours instead of months is the single greatest advantage a modern organization can have. This applies to your life, too. How quickly can you get feedback on your work, learn from a mistake, and adjust your approach? The person with the tightest feedback loop almost always wins. The second lesson: information must flow. Gates saw that information is the lifeblood of any system, whether it's a corporation or your own brain. When it gets blocked, the system becomes slow, sick, and stupid. So many of our personal and professional frustrations come from lack of information. We make bad decisions because we don't have the right data. We miss opportunities because we didn't hear about them in time. Actively building your own digital nervous system, the tools and habits you use to capture, organize, and access information, is one of the most important things you can do for your future. And finally, the most important lesson: technology's true purpose is empowering people. This book powerfully argues against the fear that automation will make us obsolete. Gates shows that technology is at its best when it frees us from drudgery and elevates us to do work only humans can do: creative work, strategic work, empathetic work. It lets us use our brains for what they were designed for: to think, to connect, and to solve novel problems. So how can you apply this right now? Here are a few simple ideas. First, become a master of your own information flow. Don't let your inbox or notifications run your life. Design a system. Use tools to capture ideas, organize tasks, and schedule priorities. Create your own personal dashboard for the numbers that matter to you: your grades, your fitness goals, your progress on personal projects. Second, actively seek out bad news. When you're working on a school project or with a team, don't just ask, "Is everything going okay?" Ask, "What's the one thing that could go wrong here? What's the biggest problem we're not talking about?" Learning to embrace criticism and failure as valuable data is a superpower. And third, use technology to connect and learn, not just consume. Follow experts in fields you're passionate about. Use email to reach out to people you admire and ask thoughtful questions. Join online communities to build on others' ideas. Use the web to become an active learner, not a passive spectator. That was a summary of Business at the Speed of Thought by Bill Gates. We've touched on the core ideas today, but honestly, a summary can only ever be a map. The real treasure is found when you explore the territory yourself. The magic happens in those quiet reading moments when a particular story or simple phrase connects with you in an unexpected way. This podcast is designed to help you decide if this book is a journey worth taking. If anything we've talked about today sparked your curiosity, I encourage you to grab a copy. Reading it isn't just about learning business principles. It's about understanding the fundamental shift in the world that happened in our lifetime, a shift that continues shaping our future every single day. The link to the book is in the description below. Also, if you found this summary valuable, I'd be so grateful if you'd hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. It tells us we're on the right track and ensures you won't miss our next deep dive into another life-changing book from the billionaire's bookshelf. Let's keep learning and growing together.